From the beautiful campus of Casper College, it's the T-Birds Coaches Show, bringing you game breakdowns, expert analysis, and exclusive interviews. Here's your host, Tom Myler.
Hello, T-Bird fans, and welcome to, of course, another great episode of our Casper College Coach Show. With us today is the head of the women's basketball team, Coach Dwight Gennaro. Yeah. Welcome back, Coach.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure.
I agree. It's always so much fun because you know what we're going to be talking about today?
Lady T-Bird basketball.
Lady T-Bird basketball. And I know our fans enjoy it because if you're joining us, of course, you want to hear more about college basketball, especially with our women because they're kind of a big deal. Coach, we love having you. And let's talk right into it. A little bit of a rough start to this season.
It was. It wasn't the win-loss record that we were hoping for, but long road trip to Ephraim, two very good Region 18 opponents. USU Eastern, I thought we played really well, but they were so balanced offensively. We had to try to give some help on their inside game, and then, of course, they exploited that and hit some threes on the perimeter. So, that one I felt like, kudos to USU Eastern. They shot over 50% and over 40% on the three-point line. They did that. The snow game, I thought was we kind of had some self-inflicted wounds there. Yeah. We had 21 turnovers, which is it was too high. That's too many possessions for them to get scoring opportunities. And we had some defensive breakdowns in there. That game is probably sticks a little bit more as far as one that got away than the USU Eastern. USU Eastern knocked down the shots. Both teams, I thought, played well. We kind of were our own worst enemy at times against snow.
Yeah, and I feel like in that fourth quarter especially, you can really see it from the numbers. But the Utah State Eastern one, you played them tight that first half.
Yep.
And they must have made some sort of adjustment that just the girls couldn't keep up with
it. It was two spurts. There was a spurt in the second quarter where we were up a little bit, and they took the lead and got about a 4 or 5 point lead there and never relinquished that. We kept it close within a couple possessions all the time, and then about 4 minutes or 3 minutes in the fourth quarter, they went on a 6-0 run and got that separation. And so they had two spurts. Other than that, probably take 4 minutes of basketball out of the 40, and we're either ahead or behind, but that's why you play 40.
That's exactly why you play 40. And so what would you say you were most impressed about with that game with your girls?
Effort always. What kind of start we get off, win-loss. Of course, we want all wins if we can, but right. What my main focus is what's our energy like? How hard are we working in practice? How hard are we working in games? How are we handling adversity? And we had some adversity, very in the first 2 1/4 games that we played so far. Right. We've had adversity, and as long as our physical and mental effort stays at an elite level, I know we're going to get there.
Well, it's always good to hear that. You're definitely in the attitude, hey, if we lose, at least make sure you left it all on the court.
We can't lose because of the same reasons. If that's, then you're not improving. So if you're behind in certain areas early in the season, that's not great, but it's okay. We can't stay behind. We can't lose for the same causes.
Yeah, and even you brought it up a little bit. I think you were shooting 75% from the free throw line, but you were shooting under 50. It was like 40% from both. It was about 30% from three and 40% from the field. It definitely got better this most recent game, and we'll get there. But those first two games were maybe not as good as we were.
And typically shooting percentages, if by the end of the year, if we're right around 68 to 70% from the free throw line at the end of the season, that's a solid percentage. If we're shooting between 45 and 50% from overall field goal percentage, I'll take that. And then I'd love our three-point percentage to be around 35. And it's going to flux between games, but I think that's pretty good shooting percentage goals for us to have in those three categories.
All right. So we've already kind of mentioned it, the great part, what can be improved. The snow game. Oh, that was, definitely a battle. You could see that you were, I think you were leading going into half, and then they just had this.
It was.
At the very end.
Their credit, I'll give them, is they were very good off of ball screens. They had two guards, Pennington and Elliott, that really could score off those ball screens. And if we changed how we defended, they were good at getting into the roller. So, that was the area. And of course, Monday when we get back, we put some more emphasis on our ball screen defenses. You have to guard it multiple ways. But, that was, to me, our 21 turnovers and us having challenges guarding their ball screens were probably the biggest takeaway from that game.
All right. Well, let's talk about the NJC game, which I feel like they're very well known for their perimeter shooting.
Yes.
The first time we played them last year, they scorched us with that perimeter shooting and almost did the same thing to us again.
It was looking that way.
And they were shooting hot in that first quarter and go down. I don't remember what you were down in the first quarter. It was like
12. We got down 12.
12. So it was 27-15 roughly.
Close, yes.
Sounds right. And just it's like, oh no, what are we doing? And then even starting off a little rough too. The offense just turning the ball over a lot.
Yes.
And I don't know. Let's talk more about this.
Yeah, it was just a perfect storm. We were trying to push the ball on them, and eventually we got that corrected. But we had 10 turnovers in that first quarter. 10 turnovers for a game is, it's doable to only have 10, and we had those in the first quarter. And then on top of it, they couldn't miss their threes. I think they had 5 threes in that first 10 minutes, which, sometimes 5 threes in a game. Again, there was a lot of things that happened in 10 minutes that could have happened over a game. But I think the thing that I'm the most proud of, and I mentioned this to the team yesterday when we met, is, we haven't had the greatest starts, to the season. We lose 2 tough road games. We're on our 3rd road game in a row, and we get punched in the nose early. Things aren't going right. And, a lesser team mentally could have collapsed and said, oh my gosh, and this team didn't. They fought back. We had the lead by halftime. And to me, that says a lot. We talked about physical energy and mental focus and those kind of things. Just to have that confidence and stay within the game plan and keep working. This team told me a lot just in that 10 minutes. The 10 minutes that were favorable for us also had a very positive outcome as well, and that's how they handled the situation.
Yeah, to see the first 10 minutes, just everything that could go wrong, and then that next 10 minutes really showed the quality of your team to say, oh, okay, we got it. And then, just came storming back. One of my favorite moments was just 3 threes in a row from Luna, just splash, and just that really built the momentum and built the lead, and you're just like, well, why could we do that the first 10 minutes and had plenty of a big business?
It's called basketball. I wish we could just will everything to go our way.
Absolutely.
But the human element in there and the opponent you're playing doesn't. But yeah, speaking of Luna's threes, crucial time, very crucial time. And we're going to have a balanced scoring and Luna stepping up in there. And we had some freshmen step up in this game in a lot of ways. That was really encouraging. But yeah, that was. Trust me, you weren't the only one that was enjoying those threes going in from Luna.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it was just a great turnaround to see that, and then even more of an adjustment to where you were stealing the ball more on defense. There were still some things I would say that we can be working on, and we even before this we were talking about a little bit of the transition offense of not being able to turn the ball. In the paint is unfortunately a big one, but that could just be women's basketball in general or however. But
it is, and both of those things are critical to us. We did a lot of those early turnovers were because we were getting out in transition and we're dribbling through traffic a little bit and those kind of things. But I do believe we've got to go through those growing pains because I think we have an opportunity to have some points, score some points in transition. Interior finishing, those are probably the most frustrating ones, because you think should be a super high percentage, but I do think that's kind of a universal thing. At least I see it across the board on our opponents as well. So, and your comment of a lot of things to work on, I think we'll have this coaches show in March, right before the tournament, and we're still going to say we got a lot of things to work on it because you never reach perfection.
Right.
Your goal is, but you never, coach for 43 years, we've never had a perfect game. Yeah. So our goal is to get as close as possible. So we will be working on things in March just like we are in November.
Yeah, no, absolutely agreed. And the one bright side about the missing shots in the paint is, I feel like the offensive rebound was definitely there.
Good point.
And so you were able to at least have second and possibly third chances missing. And so yes, it's unfortunate missing that first shot, but at least you're getting that next shot and being able to capitalize.
Getting back to the percentages, 45% is a good shooting percentage. That means you're missing just about 6 shots out of 10. So getting that second opportunity is good. And I think one person that steps up is Adama. I mean, she's she is leading us in offensive rebounds, and it was a game changer a little bit against NJC. We had 12 offensive rebounds, which is, if you look at it, that's 12 extra scoring opportunities. If you're 50%, you're making 6 of those. That's 12 more points in a game. So those add up, and it was a good increase from last weekend. I think against Snow, we only had 4 offensive rebounds, so we only got 4 extra chances. So that's a step forward. If we can maintain that'll help us down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up specific players, because I want to give a shout out to one of your players who's actually even last year was one of the team leaders, and now is really showing it again, as Andy Schischler, who has been both the Region 9 Player of the Week and now the National D1 JUCO Player of the Week, which, I mean, if you look at the numbers, I can understand why.
Okay, let's do some math, though. Okay, let's just roughly, I haven't counted recently, but 170 teams. Okay, you take at least, and it's way more than this, 10 players on every team. She was recognized as the top player out of over 1,700 players in the country, and I know it's probably closer to 2,000 players. So that's a recognition. That is pretty good, and it does. She had 2 very good offensive games in Utah. She scored 26 against USU Eastern and 33 against Snow College, and then she had another great offensive performance on Tuesday night. And also, if you pay attention, she's one of our better rebounders as well. So she's not just a scorer or shooter, etc. She's a complete game, and couldn't be happier for her. She puts her time in. She works hard. Nobody will beat her as far as effort in practice or games. And I could say that about just about every one of our players there. The effort's always been tremendous. But great recognition, very deserving, and super proud of her.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think right now, from the stats, it was, I believe, 26 to 29 points per game. I think it might have been 6 rebounds per game.
Yeah,
3 steals a game.
Yes.
So really, you're right. Just hard on defense, goes well on offense.
Yeah. Complete player. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately for her, I believe that teams are going to start recognizing that.
It is something we got to be prepared for. Absolutely. And getting back to Luna, and not just Luna, others, it's important that we get balance, because schematically we're going to see different things, I would guess, and that's okay. We have to take advantage of what their extra defensive energy they're putting on one player. We got to take advantage of that in other areas, and then that goes away. So it's part of it, and we just got to try to stay a step ahead of it.
Yeah, and how do you game plan for that? Just assuming, hey, they know Andy, they're going to try and take her away. How do you say, okay, well, they take her away, we go here?
Yeah,
how do you plan for that?
There's ways of maybe creating more space for Andy with different types of sets, screen actions, etc., and stuff like that. But I think the true answer is balance in scoring. If they're going to do that, it's not going to turn into this, but we got to say our 4's got to be your 4 then. If you're going to eliminate one of your players and try to eliminate one of ours, then we got to beat you 4-4. So, there's a lot of things that, you can try to do, and some are going to work, some aren't going to work. And it just, balance is always the best answer to special defenses.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you make a great point. 4-on-4, it's like, if you're going to take away ours, we have to have one of our players say, okay, if she's gone, I'm going to step up and make the plays.
Absolutely, yeah, yes.
And you know what? That's going to happen this Saturday against Western Nebraska. You're on the road again.
Yep.
Which is always a little tough to play on the road, especially against Western Nebraska. They're usually a good team to play against. So what can we expect against them?
They're good. They are very good. I don't know if it's a shout out or not, but Ryan Davis is the head coach this year there, and Ryan spent a year here at Casper College and then went on to be the head coach at Sheridan College before they disbanded the athletics there. And so a well-coached team. I think they won by 40 plus in their first two games, and they have 4 or 5 players back from last year's good scorers. They play hard, just really going to be a challenge for us in all phases. They're a very good basketball team. Another game. This will be our 4th in a row where we can find things that we can improve on, and we're going to see things that we're doing pretty decent.
Absolutely. So yeah, and I love that we play good teams.
Absolutely.
I tell you what, when you have a tough schedule, it prepares us for down the road when it's just Region 9 play. I mean, granted, they are in our region, but it doesn't necessarily count as a conference game.
Right.
But I love playing the tough teams. It also makes for great basketball.
I think you're right on that. I think, you can always try to soften your schedule to get a lot of wins to increase your chances to get an at-large bid so you can finish 25-5 and have a chance for an at-large. But if that falls through and you haven't prepared your team for the battles of the Region 9 tournament and conference play by not playing good competition in the fall season, you're really setting your team up to fail. So I'd rather play this type of schedule. I also like playing on the road early because when we get to conference play, those are crucial games, and those you got to be able to win on the road. So, the fall schedule isn't exactly an easy one, and we're going to have to deal with some lumps possibly, but I do think in the long run, it's what sets us up best in the year.
And ultimately, it's, really these games don't matter. If you win the Region 9 tournament, that's what really matters.
It is. It's so fickle. All athletics are fickle. It's, what did you do just at the moment? You could be 15-0 coming into win their last 15. You lose that one in the regional tournament. You're just emotionally you're wiped out and you're disappointed. So it is. You're right. These wins are just I think preparation. We need to learn how to win. I'm not saying winning isn't important. You need, and we did a little bit of that against NJC on Tuesday. We learned that we can come back. We learned that we've got to do certain things. So winning is definitely important, but it's not an end all right now, especially if you don't come out on the winning end.
Yeah. And I feel like this definitely will prepare your team for controlling their own destiny.
Yes.
And we talked a little bit about it. It's like, you could pad it and hope for an at-large bid.
Yes.
But you know what? If you've done this tough schedule, if you've put in your time and learned and grown, I feel like that's a better control. And I like that idea of being able more in control.
You're right. That competition improves you, and you got to be a good basketball team by the end of the year. And you're right. You can control your destiny at the end if you do your work before. And hopefully that's what we're doing right now as we're preparing for the post.
All right, I love it, Coach. Well, is there any other final comments you want to throw out there?
No, we're getting close to our first home game. I know our men. Congratulations to them. 2 big home wins last weekend, but next weekend, I think it's the 15th and 16th, Friday, Saturday. We're going to be home and we'll play Arizona Western, who's out of Region 5. Nice road trip for them, and then Air Force Prep. And love to see as many fans as we can get out here. We've always been supported extremely well, so really excited to eventually get home.
Absolutely, and we are always excited to see you at home because, that means we get to watch you and cheer you on.
I appreciate that.
All right, well, thank you very much, Coach.
Yep.
Well, T-Bird fans, we will see you tomorrow.